Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Today the first thing that I want to talk about is, or in fact, the thing that I want to talk about is common sense, because it's one of these things that gets thrown around a lot, and don't have common sense, oh it's just common sense, oh if they had used some common sense then X. It's one of these very nebulous terms that's thrown around an awful lot, and the thing that stands out to me is that common sense is not common. Common sense is in fact one of the rarest things that you can possibly come across in people, especially in groups of people. Um, and I think the confusion comes from common sense is not common in terms of frequency, it's common in terms of the things that it addresses. Common sense addresses things that are mundane, that are straightforward, that seem logical, at least to the person who is claiming that it's common sense. And so it's a um, very subjective and nebulous term, but it is something that we could use more of in regards to just things that are ground level, everyday things that people apply logic to solve problems. And so, how do we achieve that? I mean, it's hard to do, especially as I said, in groups, because in groups communication breaks down, you have more issues in regards to finding consensus, and as a result, where you could go, okay, well, it's, one individual could go, okay, it's common sense to go, we've got um, we've got things that I used to do that were successful and things that are new that could be more successful. I will take the best of both. That's, to me, again, depends on who's saying it, but to me that's common sense. Look at all of the information, find the good bits in regards to what would work, and then put them together, trying to minimize what bad bits you bring with you, because you always bring some. That, I feel, is the best way to run um, businesses, countries, deal with your relationships, um, and do anything along the same lines. But when I see people going, um, oh, we need to, I don't know, get rid of all of these immigrants, it's just common sense. I don't necessarily see how that's common sense. If they had put it across as we need to um, ensure that our borders are secure, or that we need to make sure that we know who's coming in and out of the country, and blah blah blah. If you would put that into a different kind of, if you put that in a different way, then common sense, yeah, it's common sense to know who's coming in and out of the country. It's common sense to have, to a degree, an understanding of what population your country can support. For example, the UK is essentially a tiny island, albeit a moderate to particularly strong one, and but there is still going to be a limit that the natural resources on this tiny island can support in terms of the number of square miles of space that you can build on, and the amount of fresh food and water and medical care that the infrastructure that's in place on this island can handle. And yeah, these things can be developed and modified and so on, but for the most part, it's not something that you can excessively change in an instant. And so, yeah, having the common sense idea of having an understanding of who's coming in, how many people you've got, things like that, yeah, that makes sense. Um, Literally saying that people that have potentially moved to this country and that require removal, though, a sentiment that I have been hearing much more often lately from certain individuals that I come across. Um, it's not, that isn't common sense to me, because those people have brought with them money, skills, um, potentially enhanced our society in various ways. Maybe not necessarily in a monetary or any other kind of economic way, but in regards to maybe they bought music with them, maybe they bought art with them, maybe they bought maybe they came over here and led a quiet life, just contributing to society in a small way, and then their children have achieved something. Even if they for several generations have only brought people over, if they've only come over and they have led a quiet life, and their children have led a quiet life, and so on and so forth, they're still contributed. I would agree, on a common sense idea again, that those people who do not contribute should be pulled up on that. But again, it kind of comes down to all of when I'm applying common sense, I'm suggesting that on the evidence of these people can contribute or have contributed or whatever else, that it's logical to not just want to get rid of all of them. But when unfortunately I come across people who literally want to remove as much of a subset, and who were fairly explicit in their views, let's say, and then they suggest that it's common sense to want to do so, it demonstrates the subjectivity of the phrase, but it also suggests that it's a very easy excuse for people to turn to when they just feel that it's something that people should agree with. It doesn't need evidence, it doesn't need backing up, but what it does need is people to agree to it, because that person is right, because that person's logic, that person's version of logic, be it twisted or otherwise, is correct. And so I put it to you guys, what is common sense to you? As said, to me, it's taking in as much information to inform decisions and then acting in a logical pattern to achieve a goal. But what, that's my definition. That isn't necessarily what other people will take away from it. So what's your definition of common sense? I'm really fascinated to know, because common sense is something that I've always prided myself on having, and it's really difficult at times when people come out with, oh, this is common sense, that's common sense, and then there's nothing to back it up with to suggest that it makes any sense, let alone can be attributed to common sense. But yeah, please tell me what you think, and if you found this topic at all interesting, then please drop me a like and subscribe for more. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.